I've got something special for you. And I know I've said that a number of times with different programs that I've put on, but they have been special, haven't they? And here again, I give you something else which is even just as special. And it is my whole process on goal setting. Now, the whole thing is not a lesson on goal setting. This is a freebie on goal setting. And in fact, in its content, I provide you with 7 separate videos that talk about goal setting at different levels. And on top of that, there's so much information that I do provide, because I take a lot of this information directly off my new goal setting program, which only runs for 5 hours. That's all, just a 5-hour program, but you will learn more about goals in those 5 hours than you could ever imagine possible. Now, with what I do provide, remember, it's all for free. I'm not charging, but it is a forerunner to what you could get should you want to subscribe or pay for my goal setting program. It's that good. And I can guarantee that what you will learn, you won't learn from anybody else. Now, I'm one of these guys that everything that I've done all of my life, I've given far more than what people have paid for. And this too is another one of those sectors. I'm giving far more than what people have paid for. But remember, I've been in selling now for in excess of 60 years. And in that time, what I've achieved, very few people have come even close to achieving. And I keep on achieving and achieving. I'm now in my twilight years. So what I'm doing is I'm providing as much information, good information, that people can use and then utilize and put into their lives. And once they do that, everything changes for them. That's important from your point of view, because you not only want to see change in your life, but you want to see change for the better, for you, for your family, all of the members around you, even your staff if you're employing people. So with that said, I even provide you with intermission. That's right. It's over an hour of information on goals. So I'm giving you an intermission. Now, I'm not going to provide you with the popcorn and sandwiches or the Coca-Cola or the Pepsi, whatever you prefer to drink. I don't do any of that, but I do provide you with very good information that will keep you intrigued. Now, the reason why I want you to take time out to break away from what I'm doing is to sit down and physically digest what you've already learned. So you'll have an intermission at the very beginning. When it comes to its close, again, sit down and start to digest. Start to take in. And if you need to play these videos over and over and over so that you can get the full value of what I'm providing, then simply do it. It's the only way you're going to learn. So with all of that said, all I have to say now is enjoy what I've provided you with. I know it's special. You have to watch it to realize how special and how wonderful the information will be that will help you grow, not just for now, but for a long time into the future. After a lifetime in professional sales, I'm proud to come to you with my sales record. In fact, it consists of me being in sales for 56 years, and in that time, I've broken countless national and international sales records. I'm also the author of 17 business books. My first book was published back in 1969. And I've sold over 2.5 million books since. I'm also a 3 times International Sales Hall of Fame inductee with 2 multinational companies. Now, I've done it twice with one, and they were all for my sales achievements. And in fact, I've only ever worked for 2 multinational companies, and I achieved Hall of Fame status with both. And I'm also the creator of the original 8-step sales affirmation formula that also changed the way advertising was sold worldwide by some of the corporate multinationals, and that was done for decades. Now, by having said all of that, what that really means to you is that I can save you lots of heartache and even help you with your focus by helping you get things right in your sales much faster than I did. Hello, my name is Peter Collins, and this is a promotional video for my goal setting video series, which incorporates a total of 8 videos, which you'll receive over a period of 8 weeks. Now, the first of these videos I call Achieving Goals Through the Power of Focus. It's a video that goes for more than 2 hours, but what makes this different, apart from the information which I provide as being foundational information for goal setting, I also incorporate pretty close to half the video, and I spend time working and explaining the power of affirmations in goal setting. Now, most people never do this, and the other thing is most trainers don't quite understand the power of affirmations, and salespeople are in the same boat, because most of us appreciate that affirmations are important. But when we go to use those affirmations, whether we read them off a piece of paper or we memorize and just verbalize them to ourselves so that we can hear ourselves utilizing those affirmations, most salespeople will find that they stop using the affirmation process after 1 or 2 days. Some may even go for 3 or 4 days before they abandon utilizing this on a daily basis. And the reason for it is they find it far too hard. And by being too hard, it's something that they don't find any joy, something they don't have any power in, and they leave it alone and move on with life, not really working with goals that they should be working with. Now, the reason why I do all of this is I start this promotional video with an unedited 10 minutes of the start of the video. That's right, unedited, but it is 10 minutes from the video. It's not something specifically written as a promotional tool. And as you watch this, you'll realize that a lot of what I say, I understand what you're going through, and because I understand the basics there, I know how to take you to the next level and the level after that level. And in the first video, remember, we talk about achieving goals through the power of focus, incorporating affirmations, and when the two blend together, you have such a powerful way of working your goals, and more importantly, achieving your goals beyond your normal expectations. That's fact. G'day. That's Australian for hello. My name is Peter Collins, and I'm coming to you from Sydney, Australia. And people say that I'm best known as a sales champion all around the world. Well, that's their impression. My idea of what I do is I've now created multiple international world records in sales. I'm a 3 times International Hall of Fame inductee in the corporate sector. I'm the author of 72 books so far. I've sold 2.5 million books over the past 50 years. And I've been in sales for almost 60 years now as a hands-on salesman. Now, I'm proud of that, because the reason why I am proud, so many people go into sales training after a lifetime in sales, maybe 20 or 30 years. They become sales trainers, and from that point onward, what they share is what they know. So if they've been sales training for 20, 30, some even more than that, you can sit there and watch them work and see them in a time warp based on their own experiences. And a lot of that stuff is very good, but it's not up to date. It's still in a time warp. So what I'll do is I'll teach you to go that level above the level that other people are teaching at. And remember, I've got nearly 60 years of record-breaking sales experience, and I'm so keen to pass it on because it'll become part of my legacy, and that's important. Now, let me explain the videos. There are 7 videos in this series, and they will follow through with an 8th video, which is such an important video. In fact, more than 20 or 30 years ago, I was asked to make that video, and it's based on information I gathered back in the mid-1970s that helped me rewrite the record books over and over, year after year, decade after decade. And I call that my 8-point personal affirmation goal plan. Now, the reason why I've never included this before is because it puts on the table everything that I do and everything that I've done in the past to achieve the records that I have. And I'm more than happy to pass that on so that you can now take the baton and run with it. Now, this is where things will be different as well, because everything I want to do is based on foundational practices that'll help you set goals in a way that you've never set before. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's that people will tell you to go back to basics. And that's a good thing. But show me the basics in goal setting. Basically aren't any. People are putting down foundations that you can work from to help you with your goal setting. And in the first 15 minutes, I'll give you a bullet point form of what I believe foundational goal setting should be, and a lot of people don't take it to that level. But what I provide for you in 15 minutes, a lot of people will take similar information and turn that into a 2 or 3 day sales training course based on goal setting. Then in the second half of that very first video is what I share is a level above that, because here I expand, I explain, and I show you how you can take your goal setting to a level that you've never known before. But look, the most important part of this is what I teach is what most people want, because I'm giving you practical information that you can run with almost immediately. There are processes, some of them will take time. Others you'll be able to use as you turn the video off, put it together, work on it, set up a plan, and there goes that part of your goal setting. But here's something that I've taught now for the past 40 years on goal setting. I want people to overachieve every goal that they set. You heard right. I want you to overachieve. If you set a goal for a certain amount, I'd like to see you actually end up with 10, 20 or 30% more. If you have a time limit on a goal, I'd like to see you achieve that goal in 80 or 70 or 90% of whatever time you set. And the important thing is, as you go down that level, everything you do will start to unwind, and you will see a life, you will see results, and you will see so many goals that you wanted to set come true. And surely That's what goal setting should be all about. Now, before you get to enjoy the remainder of this video, I want to inform you that each of the 8 videos that I produce will have a number of wow factors. And many of the subjects that I'll present with at least one subject that is way above the wow factor. It's something special. In fact, I'd go as far as say it's memorable and life-changing. And it will take your goal setting to the next level. But before I share that with you on each occasion, I'll pre-warn you that it's coming so that you can be prepared, you can take notes and absorb as much as you want in order to make it work in your life. As salespeople, we're all told to set sales goals, and we're told that by setting realistic and achievable sales goals, we would sell more, we would earn more, and we would be more likely to reach the top of our profession. But the irony of this advice is that some salespeople do and some salespeople don't. But in fact, the majority of salespeople, would you believe, don't set goals. So let me ask you as bluntly as I can, has that promise of you selling more and earning more because of goal setting come true in your sales career? Now I want you to answer me truthfully with either a simple yes or a simple no. Don't even contemplate a maybe, a sort of, or even a candid from time to time but not always answer. I don't need any of that. All I need from you is to give me a simple yes or a simple no. So then, what is your answer? Because if you answered no, or at least not all of the time, then you are in the majority. You see, my personal opinion on this, with the tens of thousands of salespeople who have either trained or I've coached or managed over the past more than 50 years in sales, I would suggest that many to most of them have genuinely set their sales goals, but only a few have consistently achieved those sales goals. Now, I want you to think back to day one of your very first formal sales training class. The very first one you ever attended. Or if you think back to your first sales motivational seminar. Or perhaps even the first sales training book you'd ever read. I'll guarantee you were taught that in order to succeed in sales, you must set your sales goals. Now, although this advice is technically correct, it is also incomplete as it fails to reveal the real reason that goals sometimes work and why goals sometimes don't work using traditional methods of goal setting. So here's the first clue to put into your memory bank. Goals should never be set as a mechanical exercise because you believe that everybody else in the industry is setting goals that way. No, the reality is that most salespeople simply go through the mechanics of the basics of goal setting but never really learn how to master the true art of goal setting. But the truth of the matter is an entire industry has been created around goal setting with the promise that salespeople can sell more by setting better and bigger goals or simply by using better methods of goal setting. But unfortunately, this in turn creates another problem because in the main, none of these so-called traditional methods explain the difference between goal setting or creating wish lists. You heard right, creating wish lists. Now, subsequently, most salespeople are taught to develop that wish list of possibilities in order to keep themselves, their sales managers, and their spouses or partners happy. This is the second clue to put in your memory bank. Allow me to repeat those two clues. The first is, goals should never be set as a mechanical exercise. And the second is, most salespeople are taught to develop a wish list of possibilities in order to keep themselves, their sales managers, and their spouses or partners happy. Interesting, isn't it? And if you want to hear even more truth, neither of these two ideas that I've just shared here will help you achieve the goals you want to achieve. And that's the truth. Now, many of you know that I've been in sales almost all of my adult life. And what I've laboured on, especially in my training modules and the seminars that I've conducted over the years, is to try and help more salespeople achieve their goals. And in fact, most salespeople never get around to actually putting a goal together. They have a thought or a thought bubble, and they expect that to be a goal. Now, you need to write them down, and you need to work on your goals. You need to visualize them and work on them on a daily basis. So what I keep looking for are good ways to achieve your goals, because that's one point that professional sales managers also labor over. Yes, they too labor over goal setting. Why? Well, because so many in sales literally can't be bothered with the discipline involved, or they don't really take it seriously. Now, for that reason, I've dug out something that a man called Robert McCain said on the subject. In fact, Robert McCain, I know, pinched this from Stephen Covey, but it's such an important part of setting goals. I want to repeat that and share it with you, because a major part of success in all types of living, including sales, is the ability to put things first in your life. Yes, you need to put things first, because why? To put things first is much harder than to draw on the second or the third or the fourth way of doing things. And it's indeed the reason the majority of our major goals are never achieved, because we spend so much of our time doing the lesser things before the major things. So write down your goal, set your goal, then work your goal. And if you need to do this with the help of your sales manager or someone else in sales, or if you need someone to hold your hand to do it and show you how it should be done, my advice is do it. Do it. Take the plunge. to take on the difficult before you take on the much easier. And when you take on the difficult once, it'll be easy to do it a second, a third, and a fourth time. And once you learn the power of setting written goals, your life will change. And believe you me, it will change for the better. So there you go. I've laboured on goals yet once again. And in my opinion, that's how important they are. Now, I want to share a real passion of mine, and I want to do this progressively over the weeks, and it's a subject called goal setting. Now, most of us understand goal setting. We do a pretty good job setting goals, and as far as we're concerned, we reach most of our goals. Well, what if I took your goal setting to another level? A level above the level that you thought goal setting should be at? Because you've noticed some people really set goals. And I actually worked with a guy for a while, and all he used to do was to ponder on what he wanted to achieve for that week, for that month, that year. And all I saw him do is pick up a piece of paper and put a figure on it. Then his eyebrows would go up a little, his eyes sometimes would roll in his head, and he'd go, yep, and then write down the date of when he needed to achieve that goal. And he was so accurate in the way that he set goals, I just couldn't believe it. Now, I'm talking more than 40 years ago. I'm observing this type of behavior in a person. And I thought, there's got to be more to goal setting than I believe there is. I learned how to set goals, I learned how to write them down, but there's a lot more to them. And over the weeks, I'll share bit by bit, just that little bit more, until you can visualize your goals to such an extent that the goal will not dare not manifest. How would you like that? Well, it's true. And with most goals, when you set them, you should be able to set them in such a way that you actually overachieve. That's right. Not only achieve the goal, but achieve something way over the top of what you expected to achieve in the first place. And once you can get your goal setting to that level, can you imagine how much extra business you'll write? Well, that's the journey that I want to take you on now over the next 5 or 6 weeks. And it'll culminate in you knowing the way that I've set goals to achieve sales records other people can only dream of. And in fact, you've got to remember that at one stage, I too could only dream of achieving those goals. But when you do it year by year by year, and you achieve beyond anything anybody could imagine, you know you've started getting your act together. And that's precisely the level that I want to bring you in your goal setting as well. So starting today, some very basic fundamental stuff about goals. Next week, we'll skip it up a notch. The week after that, we'll skip it up another couple of notches. And you'll come to the understanding that goals are such a crucial part of your life and your lifestyle, you'll dare not set them, not read them out aloud, and not work and meditate on them, because they're the crucial areas that'll get you far beyond anything you may have expected in your goals. this module, I want to ask the question, are your goals only confined to paper? I'll repeat that because this is important. Are your goals only confined to paper? And more on that straight after this break. Welcome back. Are your goals only confined to paper? Now, there is so much said and written regarding the setting and the execution of goals. It's absolutely mind-boggling. However, there are real standouts in this area. When it comes to quotes by different people, I love the words penned on this subject by Frank Richard Feller. And he suggests that setting goals can be a fascinating exercise because it gives a sense of direction. But if these dreams are only confined to paper, unless we change our attitudes, our behaviour, and our focus of energy, achieving goals is essentially a process of program change that will not eventuate until we take charge. And I agree with everything he's just said because setting goals can be a fascinating exercise and it does give a sense of direction. But you should remember that part of goal setting is to write the goals down. But Richard now says something a little bit beyond that because he says because these dreams are confined to paper, unless we change our attitudes, our behaviour and our focus of energy, achieving those goals is essentially a process of program change that will not happen. You see, writing down on paper is only the first step. But having to read those goals on a daily basis needs to be the next step. Then affirming those goals and actually checklisting to make sure that we're achieving what we need to on a daily basis is a further aspect of goal setting. Because with that, there will be a change of behaviour, a change of focus and a change of energy. Every one of these factors are essential for you to be able to set your goals effectively and to ensure that your goals come to pass at the time limit that you set yourself to program your mind to do. Oh, you didn't give it a time limit? Well, there's another aspect that you now need to program your mind with to ensure that those goals are achieved and achieved on time. Because that is essential, not only crucial, it's essential to goal setting. Hello, this is Peter Collins with another sales tip for the professional salesperson. And I've named this module, Goal-Oriented People Make Quicker and Better Decisions. Now, where did I get that from? Well, that answer is simple. Some of the things that I was able to research in order to present this Sales Insight series are absolutely priceless, just like this quote I'm going to share with you from Tom Hopkins, the sales trainer. And he says, if you don't have goals that excite you and give your daily activities purpose, you're running the race of life at a distinct disadvantage. Goal-oriented people make quicker and better decisions that get them there faster. And people without goals have a tough and frustrating time competing. You know, I like the way that Tom Hopkins phrased that, because I like being excited about my goals. And I like to see my daily activities have the purpose that allows me to get closer to my goals. And I like running the race of life with a distinct advantage. What's more, I agree with Tom that goal-oriented people make quicker and better decisions that get them there faster. And most importantly, I also agree that people without goals have a tough and frustrating time trying to keep up to or compete with those that are achieving big time. So you too can get excited about your daily activities with purpose. You can run with a distinct advantage in your life because goal-oriented people make quicker and better decisions that will get you there faster. And remember, you're part of the elite. That's right, part of the elite, because people without goals always have a tough and frustrating time trying to keep up with you or to keep competing with you. Never forget that. Hello, this is Peter Collins with another quick tip for the professional salesperson. One of the things that I've observed throughout my whole selling career is how people limit their potential. And they do this so many different ways, but the one common way just about everyone limits their potential is in their goals. They don't give their goals due respect. And I've always said to people, if a goal is everything you want it to be, or to have, or to achieve, why is it so many salespeople never put in writing their goal, put a plan together, and if they don't do this, they know just as well as the next person that they're limiting their potential from that point onward. So don't limit your potential. Give your goals the due respect that they deserve. And then you'll see those goals become everything you want those goals to be. They'll become everything you want to achieve. And they'll become everything you want to have in your life. So don't limit your goals. Put them in writing. Plan them. Meditate on them daily. Read them out aloud daily. Have them pinned to your wall, inside your car. Put them on your phone. But most importantly, meditate on those goals. Have them in writing and watch them come to place. Hello again. This is Peter Collins with a promotional video on the second of my goal setting videos, and I call this Advanced Goal Setting. Subtitle is 3 Blueprints You Need to Be Aware of, and it teaches you how to achieve your goals by creating high income based goals. In other words, if you've ever wanted to write 2, 3 or 4 times more commission, or achieve ways of earning 2 or 3 times, 4 times more than you're earning now, this video will take you there. And in the 3 blueprints, you get a very good understanding of how to take your goals to the very next level. I do that in the first of the 3 blueprints. In the second of the 3 blueprints, I introduce you to a friend of mine who has a wonderful way of writing out goals, and the trouble he goes to means that he'll write out those goals at least 100 times, then he'll start tinkering with them by fine-tuning those goals. And once he's done that, I can assure you of 2 things. Firstly, he'll achieve his goals way ahead of time, and secondly, he'll achieve his goals at a higher level than he actually scheduled through his goal setting. And he does this year after year after year, and I'm talking amounts of income on his part in excess of $1 million a year through the goal setting that he does. And the third is, of those 3 blueprints, is a way that I've been setting goals now, based on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And it's the process that's helped me rewrite record books hundreds of times, and I'm talking about world, national, regional records. And it's the same process that's got me into 3 inductions into the International Hall of Fame for my sales accomplishments. So this is all in this second video. And you know what? I personally would like to see you move up to that level in your wholesaling process from this point onwards, because it won't only be life-changing, it'll change the direction in which you live your life. And yes, the introduction to the second video is a direct extraction from my second video on goal setting, advanced goal setting. Congratulations on completing the first of my goal setting videos. I call this Achieving Goals Through the Power of Focus. And here I bring in 5 factors which are the foundation for setting goals. Now, the first is visualization, followed by laser-like focus, then written goals, then affirmations, and then KPIs, which are key performance indicators. Now, I bring in a special emphasis on affirmations. In fact, of the 2-hour video, nearly 1 hour has been put aside specifically to share the power of affirmations and why they're so important in your goal setting. Now, everybody understands that affirmations are something that we usually do by repeating those affirmations out aloud during the working day, combining them with what we do with our goal setting, and then repeat it day in, day out. Now, with the majority of salespeople, they all know the power of affirmations, but very few actually get to work with affirmations more than 2 or 3 days, sometimes even 4 or 5, before they find the going too tough, both mentally and physically, with those emotions and those affirmations that go with those emotions. So what we need to do is to understand why you're not succeeding. And the main reason is most people set their affirmations in a logical manner. And yet we know in sales, logic doesn't work. It's the emotional factor that gets you over the line in your selling. So here, I purposely go through 10 emotional affirmations that you can use on a daily basis, but they get a little bit dry. So I teach you how to bring in 4 logical affirmations that you can then link with your emotional affirmations that make them work for you. And in fact, I teach you how to get past either 21 or 28 days, and that then becomes habit forming. And if you follow through with this process for a total of 90 days, it then becomes a lifestyle. So that is the basis of what we've created specifically in video 1. Video 2 is a little different to that, because in video 2 I purposely focus on 3 blueprints which then create the goals that you will need not only for now but for the rest of your life. Now, the first of those blueprints are very basic, and they take you through the process of understanding how goals should be set for them to become lasting goals. The second of these segments of the 3 blueprints, I will say, will take your goal setting up another 2, 3 or 4 notches immediately you go to work with it. Because this friend of mine that I've known for way over 20 years always sets his income goals, or you might even call it his commission goals, to stand in excess of $1 million every year. And in fact, way over $1 million every year. Now, the process that he uses is quite unique. Now, I call it a process because it's not a system. And that process takes time to develop, takes time to work. But because of that process, he achieves his goal way ahead of time, year after year after year. Then in the third of my 3 blueprints, I take it up yet another couple of notches, because here I bring in the goal-setting process that was set many years ago, probably 80 years back, by Napoleon Hill, and you'll find this information in the book Think and Grow Rich. Now, with that, I share how I was taught to understand how to set goals as far back as 1976. Now, that's a long time ago, but with what I started putting together then, I actually started rewriting the sales record books all over the world, year after year after year. It's the same information that got me into 3 International Hall of Fame inductions, and it's the same information I used either worldwide to set my goals, or on a national basis, or even a regional basis, and I have done it ever since. So you'll get some takeaways out of this video which will be staggering, but it'll bring your understanding of goal setting to a brand new level. Now, unlike in the first video, I don't do anything else here except bring in goal setting in its truest form possible, because you need to understand this in order to get through the rest of this video series and do it in the most professional manner possible as a salesperson. Now, what most people aren't aware of, and there's a reason for this because I just haven't made it public, and that's why so many people don't know about this, is that for the past 5 years I've been putting together an absolute array of videos on different subjects in the selling field. I call this my sales vault, and it's now over 1,200 videos in total, and they cover all different subjects. So the purpose behind it is I can now start bringing in these videos from the vault. I can then share the information with you, and you'll find it interesting as I do, because none of us think the same way year after year. And the way that I expressed things and thought about things 5 years ago is a lot different to the way that I express and think about things today. So you've got a smattering of all sorts of ideas and ideologies over the past 5 years that as I interleave these into the videos I'm working on at the moment, you'll start getting different perspectives on the same subject. And that is invaluable to both of us. Hello, this is Peter Collins, and in this module, I want to give you a different slant on goal setting. That's right, goal setting. There's so much been said and done about it, but I want to show you something which is so easy to follow, and in most cases, the goals that you set, you will overachieve. How would you like to set a goal and actually achieve it in half or 3/4 of the time frame that you set for it? How would you like to set a goal and achieve twice the amount of sales that you wanted from that goal? Well, it's all possible, because to do that, you need to create a picture of who you want to be, the kind of career you want to have, and where you want your future to be heading. That's right. That should all be incorporated in your goal. And the other thing is, you must have a time frame, otherwise you're only creating a wish list. So that time frame, combined with the picture of who you want to be, the kind of career you want to have, and where you want your future to be heading, is so crucial. So the best way that I know is read that goal out aloud as many times as you can every day. Start with it first up in the morning, before every one of your calls, if you like, before your lunch break, before your dinner break, and before you go to sleep. But I use a different method. I don't go through all of that consistently, because what I do is I plan a few times a day where I can, say, spend 10 minutes or so as a quiet time where I can visualize with what I want to do. I just simply go, close my eyes, and start thinking of the things that I want, the type of person I want to be, the type of career I want to have, where my future should be heading, and the time frame of how I should get it. You know, if you start doing this and you have those quiet times 2 or 3 times a day, every day without fail, you'll find before you know what's happened, you've not only achieved your goal, but you've overachieved it. Now, that's something they don't teach you when it comes to goal setting, but you've heard it here, and it works a treat, because I've done that the majority of my life, and I can guarantee you I've had better results than most other people in selling. Now, in order to help you understand goal setting in the most professional manner possible, what I've done is I've extracted a section out of my second video on advanced goal setting, and I want to bring in and interleave my own thoughts with what I present there, because everything I've presented on that video at that particular point is extremely diplomatic. But what I want to do is I want to take you to another level, and that level is to take you beyond being diplomatic in the way that I present things, and to put the truth on the table so that you won't get confounded and you won't get confused with what the real truth is. And I think that, to me, is vital. And to do this, what I do is I specifically bring in goal-setting foundational blueprint basics. Now, if that seems like a very large set of words, it's what you need to understand in order to take your goal setting to the next level. And remember, all of this is revealed in my 8-series goal setting program, and this is extracted from the second video in the series. After completing video 1, and because you are now aware of the characteristics that separate goal achievers from those who set goals but don't achieve what they really want to, let's take a look at a relatively simple technique that anyone can apply to achieving their goals. And I call this applying the foundational blueprint beyond the goal-setting basics, because by applying this goal-setting basics blueprint, you are about to learn why you become far more effective in both creating and achieving your sales goals. Because in video 2, you will learn what it takes to get that something special at a highly charged emotional level to focus on, together with more time and effort than you had previously put into achieving your goals, because there, applying a foundational blueprint beyond the goal-setting basics is what you need. But before I begin to reveal the necessary underpinning foundational blueprint, I would like you to understand the vital groundwork I feel you should undertake in order to create the appropriate clarity that you will need to develop through a mindset that takes you to a number of levels above what is normally taught in 99% of goal-setting formulas. Now, I need to bring your attention to this one point as well, and it's what the 1% of professional salespeople deem to be the basics of goal setting, the basics of advanced goal setting. The majority of those that are not in the 1% bracket of professionals seem to dismiss this as something that they don't want to be part of. And instead, they practice a concept that most people consider to be traditional goal setting. Now, I have no idea what that means, but I do know that it's holding back the whole sales industry from setting their goals effectively and efficiently. In fact, what you're about to learn about the basics of goal setting is understood and worked at the top 1% of all salespeople level, as well as high-level business entrepreneurs, is what many of the professionals I know is considered foundational goal setting, but sadly, it has never been really accepted by the majority of those who say they practice traditional goal setting. And again, I want to reinforce that effective professional goal setting is diametrically opposite to whatever the sales fraternity talks about when they talk about traditional goal setting methods. The two cannot align and will never align, and yet it is still being taught en masse and has been taught decade after decade in the sales industry. And that concerns me greatly. Now, this is a vital clue, because what I'm about to reveal is considered both basic as well as foundational by professional salespeople, but sadly, not the preferred method of those that make it their priority to teach their so-called traditional method. Moreover, many will even go on to say that there are those who are natural goal setters and they have no need of any method because they set their goals naturally. What a lot of poppycock. And it's a method that seems to have been passed down from one untrained sales trainer, I mean formally untrained, to another formerly untrained sales trainer, and this has been going on for decades. And this is also the reason why I won't teach this concept known as traditional sales training. I have no idea what it is, but it keeps being taught week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, and decade in and decade out. Now, this is a method I have a great deal of trouble either accepting as fact or even teaching as a form of goal-setting basics. And here is the fundamental reason why I won't teach it. Because if that method used by those so-called natural goal setters is so good, why is it they are either rarely or even more likely never among the top 1% who work at creating, developing, and thinking through a method of acceptability for achieving any of the goals they set? So, simply put, if the best salespeople or high-level business entrepreneurs won't use this method, why would anyone in their right mind want to use it as a foundational goal-setting method? It's flawed, it's unworkable, and yet we are expected to take it on as our preferred method of goal setting? Nah, no way. And again, I want to warn the genuine sales goal setter, those that want to move forward in the industry, not to listen to or follow these proponents of unworkable goal setting methods. They didn't make the grade as a salesperson, and if you followed their advice, you won't make the grade as a salesperson either. Now, let me put it another way. Would you expect an architect or an engineer to design and build a structure in which the foundation is flawed or less than perfect? Of course you wouldn't. That would be unacceptable. So why accept a goal-setting structure in which the foundation is flawed or less than perfect? I think that's both a vital and a very intelligent question for you to ponder on. So enough of the diplomacy that's now gone on for decade after decade after decade. The reality is, the majority of people in smaller to medium-sized companies that have been there as sales trainers, in some cases, they've been there as sales trainers for 20, 30, 40 years. And they're the same ones that were taken off the road because they didn't make the grade as salespeople. And those companies thought, rather than putting on somebody and taking them off the road that were very proficient in selling as a sales trainer, that these people that couldn't sell were put in as sales trainers as a stopgap measure, so that at least they would train these people with something. It didn't work then, it's still not working now, and unfortunately, the whole sales industry, the platform of selling, the platform of goal setting, the platform of moving from one level to another as salespeople, has been compromised to the point where it's been jeopardized. So please, take it on board. Stop listening to the people with no runs on the board, those that have never been and never will be, that are still out there training other people the art of selling. What they've got is the part of manipulation, and it doesn't work, and it never has worked in selling. We need to be ethical, we need to be genuine, and we need to follow advice from those with the runs on the board. No other advice will work for you when it comes to goal setting. So here's the process the majority of supersellers will adopt. I want to share the simplest method the elite of the salespeople or high-level business entrepreneurs are prepared to use. And also please understand that if this method didn't provide the foundation that would take them to a level they aspire to, why would anybody in their right mind want to use this method? It's as simple as that. And because it's a simple workable formula, it's easy to see why it's a preferred method of the supersellers as a foundational blueprint that they have adopted beyond the goal-setting basics.